Alrighty, my friends. It is noon on Friday. We have, in fact, made it through another week. I'm not 100% sure if my husband might agree with that. It's been a little, he's been a little rough downstairs while mommy's been upstairs working. So shout out to the husband for figuring that out. I think the food safety cat might be joining us today. What do you think, Shostakovich? Incoming. All right, so it is Friday, and oh no, we are not getting food safety cat. All right, so it is Friday, and today we talk about outgoing money. And so by now you've hopefully wrote down all the truth about your outgoing money and all the things that you think about it and all the things that you feel about it. And then now we're going to talk about wanting what we want from a space of understanding that we have outgoing money. And what the hell does that look like? Because the first time I heard about this, I was like, what? This is so crazy. How could this be? How could I want to have outgoing money? But here's the truth, right? I want to pay my mortgage. I want to pay, here's the cat. I want to pay my mortgage. I want to pay my coaching bill. I want to pay my cell phone bill. Oh my God, I can't hardly live without my cell phone, right? I want to be able to pay for meat. Where my husband is cooking rabbit from a local farmer as we speak right now. I want to be able to pay that. I want to be able to put that money into the economy and have that move that way. Okay, and developing the capability to want what we want when it comes to debt is a crazy, amazing, and freeing thing to do. It is absolutely freeing to be able to say, I understand and I am, even when I have debt, I am building wealth. I have debt that builds community, right? I have debt that improves my health, and that we can get this intersection of health, wealth, and community in a space of having debt, and we can still create whatever feeling that we want around debt. That is life-changing, my friends. That is absolutely life-changing. So I just got off the phone with somebody who's considering the purchase of a locker. I quoted her several $100,000 because it's a system, right? And she's like, no, I think we'll buy it because I always talk about finance options and that good sort of stuff. And she's like, nope, I think we'll buy it. And when you are not afraid of debt, okay, and instead you can see debt not as a limiting factor on your freedom, you are open to so much stuff. Because believe it or not, I know a lot of people are frightened right now about money, and I get it. But money is the cheapest it will be in our lifetimes. It is the absolute cheapest it'll be in our lifetimes because of, I don't know if we're still in negative territory on 10-year treasury notes, but we were the last time I looked, so that's been a minute. And the banks have to get money into the economy. The government is literally printing money, and that, supply and demand of money is like supply and demand for everything, and that is that leads to more money, and the more there is of something, the cheaper it is. Basic economics, right? A little more complicated than that, but not much. So what if right now is the time for you to truly redefine your relationship with debt and your short-term debt and your long-term debt, and look at what that creates in your life? And so, like we have been doing this whole entire week in developing the capacity to want what we want when it comes to creating our life and creating our freedom, what if we develop and test a thought around creating debt and having it not tie us into knots and not be the end of the world if that's what you want. There are like tons of people out there, and like Dave Ramsey is one of them, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think he's probably all part of that too, where debt is like considered to be the worst thing in the world. It's only the worst thing in the world if you think of it that way. Debt is actually neutral. Okay? Debt is a contractual obligation. Words on a contract, they are neutral. They happened in the past and you can't go and change them. And if you're in knots around your debt right now, okay, and debt is a contractual obligation, you are much more likely to get much further if you are at least neutral about your debt and you're not feeling debt shame. I've had debt shame. I totally have debt shame, right? I did an impossible goal starting in December 2018 that came completely from a place of debt shame, and I promise you it didn't work. All right. And that's really the impetus of what I am talking about, because I have worked this issue so hard in my own life. And I have developed so much freedom around my debt that it actually allows me to pay it off. Okay, because when I'm not in shame and all sorts of negative emotions around my debt, it actually makes me more focused on my customers. And you know what happens when we get more focused on our customers? We solve customer problems. We create value, and that value comes back to us in the way of paying customers. Okay, and that's like, and actually, I wanted to throw this out here on Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to be doing a webinar on like marketing and advertising, and go through the basics of how I do it, and how I spend money on it, because my outgoing money, you want to talk about money that I'm totally willing to spend. Money that I am totally willing to spend is money that will bring me clients. So, totally willing to spend it. We budget it. Like, I have a budget for LinkedIn advertisements and Facebook advertisements. I have a budget for my Kartra system, and I will never live without those because they bring me clients. And it's like, over the long term, a license to print money by paying Kartra, I get so much more, okay, than whatever, $150 a month or whatever I spend on them, right? And when you can get to that place, it's so freeing. It's so incredibly freeing. All right. And so, what if you just picked a debt that you have, short-term debt, long-term debt, whatever it is, okay, and we went through this develop and test a thought so that you can figure out a thought that you want to think around your debt, okay? And I promise that if you like get yourself to a thought that you want to think about your debt, you will get to a point where your debt is totally neutral, where it is just a number and it doesn't mean anything about you. Okay. Now, my friends, we are not going to start there. You cannot go from I am a shameful, worthless human being because I have accrued debt to I am whole and worthy and debt is just a number in like one step. Maybe some of you can. I can't. All right. And so we're going to just like develop the capability to like want to get to the point where debt is neutral. Okay. That I can even say that without breaking out in a cold sweat is testament to how far I have come in a year. Because I know this time, I remember I was coaching with a friend of mine, and I was sitting on my mom's patio, back when I could see my mother, right? I was sitting on my mom's patio, and I was like, I don't think debt is neutral. The word debt, it's so like, and they're like, okay, then just let debt not be neutral. Okay, figure out something that is more neutral. Okay. Baby steps are totally okay, my friends. totally okay. We will totally get there. Okay. So we always start out before we ask our three sets of questions: water, strive, and light. What thought are we trying on for size? Okay. And I want you to just pick a small debt. All right. We have medical debt because, that's how everybody has debt, right? And so here's the thought I'm going to try on for size. Again, we're doing a live fire exercise. And the thought I want to try on for size is I am developing the capability to accept my medical debt. Okay. Because I will tell you right now, I look at that medical debt and I don't get very angry, but I am angry that medical debt is a thing. Okay. And this is not medical debt for like plastic surgery. This is medical debt for like emergency room visits for our kids or my husband, or I'm covered by the VA. So it's not medical debt around me. It's medical debt around the family. Right. And I get angry, and you can probably hear that, right? And so what if I think it would be amazing if I could develop the capability to accept that I have medical debt. All right. So that's the thought I am trying on for size. How much do you believe this thought, that I am developing the capability to have medical debt? Just have the medical debt. And I'm at like a 6 or a 7 because I'm having a hard time seeing myself thinking about my medical debt and not having negative emotion. So then the question becomes, do I want to think this thought? And I do want to think this thought, because the more neutral I can be about my debt, the faster I'm going to pay it off, because the less brain space it's taken up, and the more brain space my clients I can take up serving my clients. So I do want to think this thought. So that's the W in water. The A in water is act. So if I acted as if I just have this debt, I would just make a plan for paying it off. And it would not be like this, how are we going to pay this off drama that I have with my husband when I start thinking about our medical debt. Okay. And then the T is turn inside and face the truth of your feelings. And honestly, actually, as I turn inside, I can feel the freedom that this thought will give me, which is pretty cool. Like this thought does feel pretty light. And what evidence am I building? So do I have any negative feelings around that of just having it? And I really don't think that I do. I don't think that I have any negative feelings about just having that medical debt. And I'm not even sure what the number is. All right, but I know it's at least 5 figures. 4 figures. I think it's 4 figures. So evidence, what evidence am I believing that I can have this? Okay, now I want to tell you, I'm not building evidence that I can pay it off. I'm just building evidence that the number can be there, that I can have this contractual obligation, which I might point out to you, I have. Like the contractual obligation exists no matter how I feel about it. If I'm angry about it, if I'm delighted about it, if I'm neutral about it, the contractual obligation exists, right? So if I have this, what negative feelings? And there really are no negative feelings associated with it if I look inside. So that's pretty good. And so what evidence am I building? I'm building evidence that this will move me forward. As I sit here and talk about it, that this will move me forward. We'll just put it on the list of the next thing we're going to pay off and the next thing that we're going to pay off. And then if I believed this thought, what result would I create? I would not go into a shame spiral every time I opened up our spreadsheet when I look at our debt. And the less time I spend in shame, and it's not the shame itself, it's the beating myself up over the shame, because that's really what a shame spiral is. We would never shame spiral if we just said, oh, look, there's the shame. No, because we don't do that. We say, we say, oh my God, there's the shame. I am doing something wrong. Something is going wrong here. Okay. And we often do that around our money and our outgoing money. And so what results would I create? I would create the possibility of more brain space And when I have more brain space, I have more time. And when I have more time, I have more time to create value for my clients. And I will go out and I will be able to book more consults, get more people on the phone, sell more lockers, sell the medical locker, because I'll have more brain space to go out and do that. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I've moved up. Going through that water, I think I have moved up, that I really do want to believe this. I want to develop the capability just to have my medical debt. And I think I'm probably about an 8. So that feels pretty awesome. So am I physically safe to think this thought? Yes, I am physically safe. I am physically safe. That's a very important question to ask. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is real, and if you are on the cusp of losing your house, I don't recommend really talking about medical debt, okay? Because you're not physically safe. That's all, right? And medical debt, I promise, will always wait. And then, am I financially safe to think about this? Yeah, I'm financially safe to think about this because having my debt, as opposed to being in shame around my debt and being neutral about my debt versus shame spiraling about the debt, is a financially more secure position. Because of course, financial security is completely manufactured in our mind. There are people who have not very much money to their name and feel completely financially secure. Then don't worry about it. Okay, I'm not one of those people yet, but and then, am I emotionally safe to do this? I have reached the point where I am actually emotionally safe to myself, and I don't beat myself up around debt anymore. It's taken, well, when did I start this process? It's taken more than a year for me to get there. And of course, then there's all of those years that I was beating myself up around debt. Guys. And so I am emotionally safe. So those are the 3 questions in the strive. So the S in strive stands for safe. The T is trained. Am I trained to think this? I am you are watching me train myself to think this thought. Okay. So I'm training myself. Do I respect myself? I respect myself. I respect Andrew. I respect our family and our financial process. And I am building respect in that as I think this thought. Have I invested the time, talent, and treasure to think this thought? I have a lot. Have I invested all that I need to? I don't think so, because here I am investing more, and I'm really comfortable with that, and that feels really pretty good. Do I value thinking this thought? Oh, hell yes, I value thinking this thought. I value thinking that debt is neutral so hard. I dedicate an awful lot of my self-coaching time, so I do self-coaching several hours a day. I have dedicated an epic ton of time to making this thought a reality, okay? And you are just seeing me do this time, right? So I really do value it. And I am empowered to stand in fear and discomfort and failure, because let me tell you, getting up on a Facebook Live and being in fear and being in vulnerability, I'm talking about debt, I mean, I had people who literally tell me, how can you have any problems? You're living the life that I want to live, right? Like, that's kind of an uncomfortable place to be. And this is me saying out to the whole entire world, we have medical debt, right? This is not something that we talk about. I could easily let myself shame spiral in that, but I've decided not to. Okay. So then when we move on to a light protocol, if I look around, what do I observe about myself? I observe myself that I am standing here in courage and in vulnerability, right? And I think that's amazing. And what does my integrity say? My integrity says that if I develop courage and vulnerability, because remember I talked about that yesterday. I've been doing a lot of coaching about that this over the past 24 hours. That if I develop that courage and vulnerability around that, and if I develop more neutrality around debt, that it will only bring good things in my life. It will really only bring good things in my life. It will bring freedom, and it will bring new conversations and new possibilities. And that's pretty amazing. And then the G in light is gentle. Is this a gentle thought? I am developing the capability to have my medical debt feels so much better than anger and shame around medical debt. You know, I remember, so when my 10-year-old was 15 months old, I think, and I was pregnant with Molly. I have hyperemesis when I'm pregnant, which is where you can't throwing up. And one of the things I would do was I would just slowly sip hot water. And I remember I was in the bathroom getting ready for work, and I was in my first trimester, and Ben, orangutan arms man, who was 15 or so months old at the time, reached up and grabbed my hot water that had just come out of the microwave or the kettle, and he went and he grabbed it. He just grabbed it, and it poured all the way down him, right? And he got a burn, and we had to call 911, and the ambulance came, and we took him in an ambulance from our house to the local hospital, and then we went from the local hospital to the burn unit in northern Jersey. And I remember getting those bills, and the ambulance bill from my house to the local hospital was literally twice as from the hospital to the burn unit. And it was a volunteer ambulance and all that sort of, all that sort of stuff. And I remember it was like a $3,000 ambulance bill. And I remember being in my house in Jersey and looking at that bill with Andrew. And Ben, Ben was fine. He spent a couple of days in the burn unit. But the bill came like 3 or 4 months afterwards. So he was totally fine. But we got that bill and we looked at it and we're like, oh, it never occurred to me I would have a 4-figure bill for I don't even think the ambulance ride was a half an hour. Okay. And I just remember, like, I can drop into my body and remember the shame that we couldn't pay that bill by that time, and that, and that where was this, like, what were we going to do about this unexpected $3,000 bill? I totally remember that shame. And so the ability to sit with just having a medical bill, and not being in that shame and just letting that medical bill be pretty neutral feels so much better for that. So much better. And one of the things I can do with all that extra emotional energy, I could advocate for single payer healthcare, right? I get single payer healthcare. I think it's pretty rad. And so I think that that's really, and that's the benefit. When you are gentle with yourself, you create more emotional energy to go do the things that you really want to be doing. And that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And then, is that helpful? Well, hell yeah, it's totally helpful. Imagine what it would be like in your house if you didn't have fights over the finances because everybody was so afraid. That would be pretty amazing, because nobody has fights over the finances, when you've got epic amounts of money coming in and you can pay all of your bills. And I don't want to say that. You may still have fights over the finances, but it's a different sort of fight. It's, like, are we going to invest in this fund or this fund? Where's the money going to go? What are we going to do with it? And the fights are much less fraught. Okay. And so there's still disagreements. Don't take that the wrong way, because 50-50 is still there. So that's the other thing is that this is going to be really helpful, because it gives me the space to know that the 50-50 about feeling negative and feeling positive around my debt will still be there, but that it isn't about me. It isn't about me. My debt isn't about me, right? My debt is just there. It's a contractual obligation. It has nothing to do with my worthiness. My lovability as a human being, Andrew's lovability as a human being, has nothing to do with that. Okay. And that's an amazing thing to know, right? And we have so much more emotional energy to go and, like, live our lives when it's not being tied up in negative emotional energy around debt, right? And so then trust, just developing the capability to just have this medical debt develop trust. It develops a lot of trust with myself. I mean, through the course of asking myself these questions and being super vulnerable and honest with my own self, I can feel my trust with myself improving and being built and things like that. It also builds trust and credibility between me and Andrew, right? It builds literally trust and credibility between me and my creditors because I'll be able to pay it off faster, right? And so there are lots of different ways that you can think about that. And if you want to take it back to what we were talking about in the beginning about the freedom that this creates, the ability to have this medical debt creates wealth in my life because I will have less debt, because I'll be able to pay it off faster, for all the reasons that I talked about. It creates health in my life because when I'm not lying in bed in panic mode about bills, I sleep better, and when I sleep better, everybody is better off. I mean, like we all know, sleeping better is better for you, right? More, better down to a cellular level, my friends. And then in terms of relationships, when we're at neutral around our debt, Andrew's and my relationship is really so much better. My relationship with the kids is so much better because I have more emotional energy to show up and deal with the things that we got to deal with. That's it. That's it. And that's really an amazing place to be. And you'll notice I didn't change the number of the debt. At the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour, unless Andrew is doing finances on a day we don't do finances, I didn't change the amount of debt I owed. I really, really didn't. I really, however, developed the capability to have the amount of debt, medical debt that I have. And now I'm going to go and practice that. And when we do our family finance conversation on Sunday, I'm going to be able to have that, just have that conversation. And that's super amazing. That's really, really amazing. And that feels really good. And that's where the freedom lies, right? And you get good at this, guys. This takes you 20 minutes a day, right? What is 20 minutes a day to feel the level of freedom that I feel worth to you, right? That seems really, really worth it because it is. It super, super is. And then you can go and you can take that freedom and go out, solve the problems that you are out there in the world meaning to solve, because that's what we're here to do. All right, my friends, it is the bottom of the hour. I have lots of people to coach this afternoon, so I'm going to go eat lunch. You are all amazing. I think I'm getting another cat. Look, we have another cat coming who does not want to be on camera. This one's Sekhmet, and she doesn't want to be on camera. And
she's a bad kitty.
She's a bad kitty. All right, say goodbye. All right. This is Ben. This is the one that got the burn. See, he's all good. He's totally good. He's going to go and I don't know, chop down some more trees. All right. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow for Science Saturday. Stop it, Ben. I will see you tomorrow for Science Saturday. And tomorrow I'm going to be going over the genetics of RNA viruses. So coronavirus is an RNA virus. So we're going to have a genetics lesson and then a virology lesson tomorrow. So tune in for Science Saturday at noon. So same bat time, same bat channel, and tune in Monday at 3, but you got to register for this one. It's a webinar, and I think I have it on the Dirigo Food Safety page. If you run any business at all, this will be applicable. I mean, yes, I'm talking to food producers and small farmers and things like that, but it'll be totally applicable. So I love you all. You are beautiful, amazing people, and I will see you for Science Saturday tomorrow. Bye, guys.